Hi, I'm Turner,
And I'm Bailee.
and this is Indian Hen Outdoors. Today we have something from the not only the military world, but from the movie world. And I'm going to give Mr. Hickman the lead on this. So what do we have here? It seems you've broken a firearm. Where's the rest of it?
It looks like I've broken a firearm, and we would be very disappointed. But no, actually, what we have is a Henry AR7. So AR is for the Armalite company.
Not assault rifle.
Please, not a sight rifle.
And good.
Yep, and we're canceled. The AR7, which was developed by, guess who? Eugene Stoner, the father of the AR-15.
And what does AR stand for, just to be clear?
Armalite.
Thank you,
Which
Armalite.
is the company that he was doing all this through.
So anyway, sorry, continue.
Absolutely. No, so what he built this rifle for was a specific purpose for the military to give to fighter pilots, helicopter pilots, anybody that could get shot down and needed not something necessarily to fight the enemy, but maybe to get small game. You know, this is post World War II. You know, we were worried about communism and everything like that. And if you got shot down while you were on a bombing run outside of Siberia or something like that, you know, could you survive? And so this is kind of where this was. And it was a 22 long rifle, and it was collapsible into the stock. The stock was relatively waterproof. And so you pop off the back. You then have your...
Point that to the camera so we can...
That is your action. This is what it looks like from the back. And it's all self-contained. So you'll take your action, and there is a little bitty thread here. As you thread it in from the stock, from the bottom of the stock into the action, really just until it gets hand tight there, and it will actually put everything right where it needs to be. Then you pull out your barrel. The barrel has this little retaining nut, and then it also has, if you'll look right there, you'll see that shiny portion. It has a little indicator right there, and then that just latches in to the top of the rifle. Pull down the retainer nut, screw it down, and there you have your little charging handle that you pull out from the side. Charge your weapon. You had 2 magazines in the back and a little extra space for some ammo.
Nice. So that's it.
So that's it. That is the whole gun. It comes out to about just over 2.5 pounds, almost 3 pounds. The cool thing about it was that it never really caught on, from my understanding.
That's interesting.
To the military market. Israel wound up buying some of them, buying the rights to manufacture them, and they actually utilized them.
Really?
I don't know that it ever made it past testing for our military and was actually given to fighter pilots.
Sure.
But what we're here to talk about today, what's interesting about it, is it kind of made an impact on Hollywood. So
Do tell.
this weapon is designed in 1958 and then put in production in 1959. And then in the 1960s, you have, I believe it's 1964, we'll put a little asterisk right here if I'm wrong, but you have the movie From Russia with Love, starring Sean Connery as James Bond. And of course, we've all seen the movie. We'll put a little screenshot of this scene. He's given his gadgets for your mission, James Bond. Here's all your fun stuff. And in there is a AR7, an Armalite AR7. Now they say it's a 25 caliber. Which
Is it really a 25
it's
caliber?
not a 25 caliber. You could say, well, maybe they made some special British ammo. They didn't. It was a 22. Anyways, they say it's a 25 caliber. It's a takedown sniper rifle. You could shoot rabbits with this. But regardless, it was cool. And to my knowledge, I'm sure if I'm wrong, you'll correct me in the comments.
No, they would never do that.
They would never do that. But to my knowledge, best I can look up, this gun represents the first movie trope where you put together the gun. So,
Really?
So all of the secret agent movies where they pop open the briefcase and you've got this cool gun that you put together to assassinate or go to battle or whatever, this is kind of the first movie to do it. And it was with not a prop gun, but a real gun that actually broke all the way down. So it's cool historically, but then also for Hollywood. And it would actually go to the next James Bond movie as well as kind of just a side mention. You know, it got kind of mentioned as well, but it was mainly featured in From Russia with Love. So we're going to test a few myths about that today. In the movie, he has a small IR infrared scope, which they didn't really have. It's a little 4X zoom. So we have a little 4X modern scope. And he doesn't use sort of a quick detach scope system, which, if you don't know, there are scope systems that are made to put on takedown rifles that will retain your zero. So you zero your rifle, and then it has either a lever or a set screw where you can quickly detach it, and when you put it back on, the zero is there or almost close to there. He doesn't have that in the movie. He just threads it on. So we're going to see, hey, if you zeroed your rifle and took it off and threaded it back on, would that be even close? He gives it to his buddy in the movie, who shoots it standing on his shoulder. And we're going to see if that would work. The target's at about 100 yards, a man-sized target. We're going to do that. But the other thing, and we want to mention this, that Hollywood has no idea how suppressors work. In the movie,
or ballistics for that matter,
or ballistics, or guns, or morality. In the movie, he has a suppressor on it. Now, and again, a lot of y'all know this, there are such things that flow through suppressors where you don't get a lot of backblast of that gas, because again, you're stopping the gas from escaping very quickly, giving off the boom, giving off the loud noise. You're suppressing that. So a lot of it comes back through the action. If you hear guys shooting ARs, they'll talk about, man, that suppressor's real gassy. This rifle's real gassy. They're getting a lot of that gas back through the action and in their face. So that will actually help. That will help the recoil system, the blowback system that this little rifle is. And the reason I mention that is that Henry tells you when you buy this, you need to use high velocity 22 shells. They say don't shoot low velocity. They recommend like CCI Stingers.
Because it won't cycle.
Because it doesn't like to cycle low velocity. It's not that it's a bad gun. 22s as a whole, semi-automatic. The rimfire cartridge is just not a great round for semi-automatic rifles. I'd say the most reliable is probably the Ruger 1022, but I have seen Ruger 1022s hang up.
Yeah, sure.
They're just the way rimfire, if you're ever interested, Google how rimfire cartridges are made. They make a bunch of them, and they're not consistent. Definitely not as consistent as centerfire. We've all had that one that you like, hey, I've shot this round 4 times, and it doesn't go off. Yeah, they're just not consistent.
Yeah.
So Henry recommends quality ammunition and high-velocity ammunition. So in the movie, when they shoot him, there's no crack. There's no sonic boom from the bullet. So that means that if they're following physics, that bullet is below the sound barrier, or is below the, it is below the speed at which a bullet travels to break the sound barrier. So that's around 1,000 to 1,050 feet per second. So we've got some different ammunition, some high velocity stuff, some stingers, going down and working our way down, and we'll see if we can get this rifle to fail. As you get slower,
we seem to be quite good at, I should say, at getting firearms to fail. That has been our shtick in the past.
We're really good at that. We're actually pretty good at that. So, the rifle was made by Armalite. It then went to Charter Arms and a couple of other smaller companies before being acquired by Henry. Henry is really the ones, and people will talk about like the Charter Arms ones weren't worth anything. They were terrible. They wouldn't cycle. Henry really revitalized this gun. So kudos to Henry. Y'all are a cool company. And
so it might not be with modern machining. Is particular, this has been my experience with affordable firearms. Modern machining, we can make guns more affordable, and they're better just because automated machining has gotten so much better. So would it be too much of a stretch to assume that the version we have here might even be better than the one they would have been shooting in the 1960s?
I would say so. I would absolutely say so, because again, they had a type of plastic stock. It was actually, if I remember, it was a composite style stock. They didn't have the, we have a plastic barrel shroud over a steel barrel. And, they didn't have a lot of that. It's, like you said, modern machining has made cheaper rifles better.
Yeah.
And it's not initially the cheapest 22 you can get, but it's not super expensive. It hovers around that $300 range.
But point being that if we can't pull this off today,
they didn't pull it off in the 60s. They didn't pull it off in the 60s. Sorry, Sean Connery.
But Sean Connery could have.
Sean Connery, he probably could have.
He probably just could have spoke to the 22 and it would have. done his
You
bidding.
see, you need to go over there and die now.
And we're
then you
going
got
to cut that out. So we're doing a cycle test.
Yes, we're gonna start with the highest velocity, which is a 22 Stinger, and that is traveling at approximately 1,640 feet per second. It's a 32 grain copper plated hollow point. There's 8 rounds.
All right, what do we have now?
All right, so next we have Winchester Super X, and this is round nose copper plated, and they are going at 1,300 feet per second. We're gonna see if we can get 8 to cycle.
Yes.
Okay, so next we have the 22 Thunderbolts, high velocity, 22 long rifle round nose. So these are going at 1255, so 45 feet per second slower than the Winchesters. This is the Federal Premium high velocity match. So we're dropping down another 55 feet per second. We're going at 1200 feet per second for a 40 grain solid. Uh-oh. Failure to feed. Okay, so 5 rounds in, we had a failure to feed. Could have been a magazine problem, could have been a round problem. Interesting. Next, we have the Aguila. Now these are specifically subsonic solid points, 40 grains, and they're going at 1,500 feet per second. So this is where we get into, if you were James Bond and you were, had a suppressor on here and you wanted that bullet not to break the sound barrier and give you that crack, you want to be as sneaky squirrel as possible, this is what we would use. Let's see if it works.
You got one.
Failure to eject. All right, so that's kind of what Henry talks about, is that it likes higher velocity ammunition, which gives you more blowback. 2, didn't even reset the trigger. Yep. So now we've turned our semi-automatic gun into a bolt action. Yeah, it's not even trying to eject them. Which, I mean, potentially, if you were James Bond, then you could, this might be a viable strategy if you wanted to be super duper quiet, but
You only have one shot.
you basically have one shot, and I would rather a bolt gun that you could work faster than that charging handle. So 1,000 feet per second, it doesn't like it. Now we know it won't. If it doesn't like that, it definitely won't like this.
Which is?
The CCI Quiet 22. These are made for plinking and like pest control. And it's a solid round nose bullet, but it is only going 710 feet per second. So that is 300 feet per second, 315 feet per second slower than the ones we just shot. CCI actually does not recommend you shoot these in semi-autos. Not that it's dangerous, but it just won't cycle. They're really for lever actions, bolt guns, or single shots. So we know this wasn't going to cycle. We're going to do it for fun anyways. All right, CCI Quiets. Now listen to how quiet this is compared to the last one. Yeah, I mean, it's not even the charging handle, if you can see. charging handle isn't even moving. We're gonna fire in a safe direction. It barely moves. I'd say, to quote the infamous Discovery television show that we all loved growing up, I would say that that myth is busted. I don't know if we can do that or not, but we're going to. So part 2 of our myth for the AR7 in From Russia with Love is, to my knowledge, from just watching the movie, it doesn't look like it's a quick detach scope system. So it looks like he just throws a scope on there, and as we all know, if you take it off, the zero is gone. So we're going to zero this little 4X. It's just a 4x32 made by BSA. I think the scope that he uses is like it looks to me maybe like a 4x18 or 25, almost like little BB gun scopes. It's really tiny, and it's infrared for super cool secret agent stuff. We don't have that. We're not super cool secret agents yet. Never know. But we're going to see if we can sight this in, and then we'll back up to 100 yards, take it off, put it right back on, and then I'm going to hand it to Turner because he hasn't been shooting today. Just like in the movie, James Bond hands the rifle off to his friend and shoots it off of James Bond's shoulder at, we're going to say, about 100 yards, and see if we can't hit this 12-inch circle.
1 hour later.
Pretty good, finally.
All right.
Finally got it zeroed.
So we're zeroed at about 30 yards. We're going to see if this is going to work.
There's no way that this works.
There's no way this works. I shallowed it a little on this one. All right, so here we go.
You made my work easy for me.
All right, now, according to the movie, they only used one magazine. This is the
What have you got it loaded with currently?
this is the Remington 22 Thunderbolts.
Good enough.
So we should be cycling. We know that these will cycle. So that part of the movie's already busted. So Turner's going to stand right here behind me, and we're going to be super safe. And I'm going to put on my eye protection. We are not flagging anybody. We are following the firearm safety rules. Now, I'm going to stand here. There's not one in the chamber. I'm going to let you chamber it.
Yep.
And you'll put it over my shoulder and see if you can't hit that target.
So does this have any magnification?
No, it's right where it's at.
That's right where it's at. Okay. I don't believe that any of those hit the target.
Let's go. We'll go check it out. We'll investigate. But
And it's this is not quite 100. This is
90 to 100. This isn't a full. This is a walked off 100.
yeah. Let's go see.
I think that's just some
Yeah.
paint. That's a 12-inch circle, guys, and
Not one.
that's a no. So 2 myths about the AR7. A great rifle, just not James Bond style.
Now, this is kind of the control. We're gonna, force the results. Instead of a semi-auto rifle, we have a bolt-action Marlin, and instead of 22, we have 22 Magnum with a proper 3x9 scope on it. So let's see if we can hit a man-sized target at the same distance. So again, to show you just how hard that shot would be, maybe even impossible. So again, this is a bolt action rifle, which is always going to be more accurate than a semi-auto. It's 22 Magnum instead of 22, and a 3x9 power scope versus a fixed power scope. And you can see that 4 rounds at around 100 yards, and I'm barely in the 12-inch circle. Maybe we could do a bit of tuning, a little bit of ammo, and that's also me sitting in the prone position on a backpack versus trying to prop up on somebody's shoulder. So again, myth busted. So again, really cool, and I think it does what it was intended to do. It's a backpack rifle, a survival rifle.
Yeah.
Not the best choice for a long range sniper weapon.
Yeah.
Again, it's Hollywood. I know we're nitpicking Hollywood, but in order to pull that off, you would need a detachable scope and some really, really good hypervelocity 22 ammo.
Yep.
And a lot of practice.
And a lot of practice, and honestly a better rest than trying to shoot off of somebody's shoulder.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier just about how, Hollywood takes these things and runs with them.
Yeah.
And
we actually need to go back and watch, because I brought up the question, did it actually show the gun cycling or shooting in the movie, or did it show the gun, show the target, sound effect, and then go back to the gun, which is, I think that's what happened.
If I remember
that's
right,
how I would do it.
Yeah, if I remember right, because, with blanks and trying to get that thoop sound, you're just not going to get it. Again, we're not prop masters, but we are gun enthusiasts.
Sure.
And it's a great gun. Don't hear us not like the gun. The gun is awesome. I love this gun.
If we sighted this back in and with some good ammo and sat here a minute, we could probably quite easily make that shot.
The shot's not the problem. Like you saw with the 22 mag. If we put this on the backpack, some of the stingers, re-sighted in the scope, it's possible. It's very possible. Again, a great gun with the ammo that Henry recommends you shoot, which is high velocity and not crazy high like stingers.
Sure.
The Thunderbolts from Remington are 1,200 feet per second. We had no issues with those.
Yep.
Again, a great gun, but it's funny when Hollywood takes a gun and says, "Yeah, that'd work. That'd work." No, it wouldn't.
Especially in the 1960s.
Especially in the 1960s. But again, a cool piece of American history and American film history. As you may not know, me and Turner are big film buffs. We like movies.
Yes.
But yeah, so here, the Henry AR7. Check it out for yourself. We like it. It's a great starter gun. My son has shot this gun. It's, again, super lightweight. If you're scared of recoil or scared of weight or anything like that, it's a great gun to get in, and it's cool. Man, it's cool to feel like a secret agent where I can take it all down and put it in here.
Yep.
That's a cool factor.
Exactly. So, cue the James Bond music. Until next time, this has been Indian Hen Outdoors. God bless.